Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah. We are here in 2026. It is our first episode of the year. I hope you're excited. I hope the year of the fire horse feels like it's off to a momentous start for you, my friends, despite the world being on fire. I hope your world doesn't feel like it's on fire. How about that? What I want to talk about today is what I'm calling in my mind the post planning gap, which I think a lot of us are in. So if you are like me and all of my clients, my folks, we love that end of year wrap up, goal setting. If you came to Mush Week, we did all of this work on planning the year ahead, thinking about what we want this year to be, our word of the year, our intention of the year, what we want to do this year, what we want to achieve this year. So it's January, right? I wrote this episode yesterday on the first Monday of the year. The first day it felt like, okay, it's coming out of the mush. We're easing back into something like a regular flow of the year. It's Tuesday today, but early in the first week of the year. And you probably have some goals for your business. So maybe those goals are like you want to have your first multi six figure year, or this is the year you're going to hire a team, or you want to 10x your audience and grow your audience online, grow your following. And if you're serious about those goals, you're probably thinking about what you need to do in order to hit them. But the problem is that you can know exactly what to do and still not do it. Hello, somebody. Let me know if you know anything about that. I know a little something about that. Most of us know exactly what to do and don't do it. Most of us don't have a knowledge problem when it comes to the steps we would need to take to achieve a goal. I have a fitness background. And so I think about this in fitness terms frequently. And I'm sure top of the year, many people have like fitness related goals or know people who have fitness related goals. We're all inundated with ads for fitness related goals, right? Most of us don't struggle with things related to fitness because we don't know what to do or we can't find information on what to do. You could go online and go anywhere to like download a workout plan. There's what to do, like pick up this thing at this weight this many times and put it down. What to do. We can have all of the information on what to do. But if we're not doing it, there's a reason that we're not doing it that has nothing to do with not knowing what to do. And for a lot of us, we can know what to do. We can feel fired up and determined because of the time of the year or because we got together with other people and we made a vision board and we feel really fired up to do the new thing. And we'll do it for a while and then it falls apart, trickles away. And this is why only they say 8% of people actually accomplish their quote unquote New Year's resolutions. I don't usually call my things New Year's resolutions. I set goals for the year. Whatever those are, only 8% of people actually accomplish them. Because it turns out that trying to change the things you do isn't the easiest first step most of the time. Changing the things you do are actually kind of a downstream effect of changing at a higher internal level first. Inner work first. And as a coach, as somebody who's been coaching, teaching, training people in some way for more than 20 years, but as a business coach and a life coach for 10 years, I'm a little bit of an expert on helping people reach their goals, including myself. I am one of those 8% of people. I almost always hit every single goal I set for a year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can be in that 8% at the end of this year, how you can be a person who actually achieves the goals that you set out to achieve this year. So you may have heard of the framework have, do, be, or be, do, have, right? This is an easy one to start with. The way that most people think about change is if I just had more X, then I would do more Y, and then I'd be A. If I had more time, I'd go to the gym, and then I'd be a fitness person. If I had more clients, I'd make more money, and then I'd be a CEO. If I had more time, then I'd make more content and then I'd be a content creator. But that's actually not how things really work most of the time. What's much more effective is be, do, have. If I decide I'm a fitness person, then obviously I'm going to go to the gym and then I'm going to get stronger. If I decide I'm a content creator and that's who I am, then naturally I'm going to make content and then I will have more followers. If I decide I am a CEO, then naturally I'm going to show up. I'm going to make tough decisions. I'm going to lead my company forward. I'm going to invest in myself and my business. I'm going to, face obstacles head on in order to keep moving toward my goals. And then I'll reach my revenue goals. When we only focus on what we want to get, right? I want a multi six-figure year. Okay, great. How are you going to get there? What are you going to do? Right? That's usually where we go. And then we focus on what we're going to do, but we neglect who we're being. Or worse, we think that when we get what we want or when we do new behaviors, that's going to change our concept of who we are. And when we do that, we are setting ourselves up to crash and burn before February 1st. When we really think in the world about people who have had sudden success and it destroys them, a lot of people talk about hitting a goal, getting the thing where they're like, oh, I got everything I ever wanted and I was crushed because I realized that I thought that when I got this thing, I was going to feel differently about myself. I was going to feel more successful. I was going to feel capable. I was going to feel worthy. And then I got the thing and I was still just me inside. And that topples people. And we don't want that to happen to you. We don't want that to happen to us. So in business, what this kind of looks like is, I'm going to give some examples, right? Some common business situations. You decide you're going to raise your prices. This is the year. I'm finally raising my prices. I know my work is worth way more than I'm charging for it. People are getting a ton of value out of what I'm doing. I haven't raised my prices in years. This is the year. I'm changing my prices. So you update all your packages. You're ready to go. And then you get your first lead of the year. And they say, okay, how much does it cost? You send them the new number. And if they hesitate, or they ask for a payment plan, or they go, whoa, that's more than I expected to pay. And immediately you're like, well, actually, I could do a discount for you, or I could just give you the old price just this once. You start over explaining, you're justifying. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to throw in a bunch of bonuses to make it worth it for them. There's a mismatch. You tried to do the thing, but you weren't ready for the real world application of doing the thing. Say you're going to grow your following. So you commit to showing up consistently. You're like, I'm going to post every day. And the first week goes great and you're on fire and you sit down and maybe you batch all your content, you get it all out. But you're not really seeing a lot of engagement after a week. It's crickets, or you get a negative comment, or you start comparing yourself to somebody else. And then suddenly you're overthinking every post. You're second guessing all your content ideas. You slip for a few days because you're like, I don't know what to say. Or you get into well, it's not working anyway, so what's the point? And you go right back to barely posting by week 2, week 3. If it's building a team, you hire someone to take tasks off your plate and you're like, oh, this is the year. I'm delegating all this admin stuff. I'm doing something different this year. You hand stuff off, you feel relieved. And then they do a task slightly differently than you would, or they make a mistake and you just take all the work back. You're redoing all the work yourself. You're thinking it would just be faster if I do it myself. Or you don't even really delegate. And this person you hired is sitting around waiting for you to tell them what to work on, but you don't have anything to tell them because you didn't take the time to set up the systems for delegation. You just hired them hoping that having the person would change everything. You can usually sustain behavioral change for a little while. For most people, it's about 2 weeks. And then you're going to hit a challenge. A client is going to push back. A team member is going to do something differently or need more support than you're prepared to give them. Or even you're tired. You go through something hard in your personal life and you just slip right back into your old way of doing things. And it's not because there's anything wrong with your outcome goals or your behavioral goals. That's fine. But it's really hard to change our behavior without addressing who we're being when we try to do the behavior. If you've been around for a while, you've probably heard me use my favorite quote: you can't outperform your self-concept. That is what most of us are struggling with when we set outcome goals or behavioral goals without addressing what's going on inside us, without addressing what's underneath. There's a change model that's taught in NLP. It's called the logical levels. It was created by a guy named Robert Dilts. And I love this model because I think it's really true. It suggests that there are 6 levels of change. The first base level is usually presented like a pyramid. The bottom level is environment. Where and when is the behavior done? Or where and when are you? The second level at the base of the pyramid is behavior. The third level is capabilities, how you do it, what your skills are. The fourth level, beliefs and values. Why do you do it? What do you believe? Why is it important? Level 5 is identity, who you are. And level 6 is your purpose and your larger mission. So most people try to change at level 2, maybe level 1, right? In AA type language, when you're trying to just change at the environmental level, they call it pulling a geographic, right? So you're like, okay, I'm drinking a lot or I'm doing drugs and my life has become unmanageable. I'm going to move to New York. And if I move there, then everything will be different. And then I will be different because I'm in a new environment. And then you get there and maybe it's novel for a little while, but then when the novelty wears off, you're still just you and you have all your same problems and you're like, oh shit, that didn't actually work. You cannot just change the environment and expect it to change you. But behavior is right there alongside one of the lowest levels on the pyramid. When you change at the higher levels of the pyramid, when you change at the identity level and the beliefs and values level, right? You get clear on your purpose, which should help you lock into a new identity. This is who I am. This is like my purpose and my mission, who I need to be the person aligned with my purpose, what I believe. That's going to change everything. It flows down the pyramid. It's trickle down changeonomics. And it makes those lower levels automatic. When you change at the identity level, behaviors just happen, right? If who you are is a smoker, that's your identity. That's how you think of yourself. I'm a smoker. I've been a smoker my whole life. I've been a smoker since I'm a teenager. I'm a smoker. Your beliefs are that smoking is fine. It is an acceptable behavior. It's totally okay. It doesn't hurt anybody, whatever it is you believe about smoking. And so then the behavior is when all the smokers go outside, you get up, you get your coat, and you go outside. I can tell you as a non-smoker who's pretty much always been a non-smoker, when people get their jacket to go outside and have a cigarette, if it's cold outside especially, I'm not going. Why would I go out there? I'm going to be right here where it's warm and cozy, sipping on my beverage, waiting for y'all to come back. I'm not going out there. They have their own secret society, the smokers, and they're talking about things and they're having whatever it is they have out there. Good for them. But for me, right, it's not my identity. It's not aligned. So if you want to stop smoking, but you think of yourself as a smoker, then when everyone gets their coat to go outside, you're fighting with yourself not to go. It's so hard not to go. The behavior doesn't feel congruous to who you are. If you haven't changed your beliefs yet and you still think smoking is fine, it's not a big deal, it doesn't hurt anybody, what's the harm in it? That's my belief about it. It's a lot harder to change. But if you changed at the belief level, if you were like, smoking is actually really harmful to me, to my family, to the planet, to the environment. I'm not picking on smokers, guys. This is just like an easy example. But you changed at that level. Your belief about it is, it's actually not okay. Every time I smoke, I'm taking time away from my children that I get to have with them on earth. That is not acceptable to me. Changing the behavior is easier when you don't believe the behavior is acceptable. When you try to change your behavior without changing your identity, it feels incongruous. It feels incoherent. Your performance is out of alignment with your self-concept. So you're constantly fighting yourself. Like there's two versions of you arguing about every decision. So everything feels weighty, trying to do the behaviors without internal upgrades. You exhaust yourself, but it's not even from the actual work, it's from the internal battle around every single decision. Every time you want to try to do the new thing, you might have a physical reaction, right? Your body, your stomach drops. You feel anxious. You're suddenly tired. You're spacey. You want to retreat. You start to shut down. Or you logically know what you should do, but you emotionally can't make yourself do it. You come up with a million reasons why you can't. You're sad today. It's hard. You are stressed out about something else. There's too many distractions. Somebody else needs your help. Or like there's this constant low grade guilt or shame or fear that's always running because you feel like people must know that you're not really capable of creating the results you say you want. Or, right, like with the smoking thing, a lot of people don't tell their friends they're quitting smoking because they want to be able to go outside and have a cigarette. Once you tell your friends, guys, I'm quitting, then when everyone gets up to go have a cigarette, your friends are looking at you like, are you going to go or are you not going to go? If you grab your jacket to go, your friends are going to be like, hey, what are you doing? So you have this constant low grade internal, like people are judging me. People are looking at me. People know that I'm not capable of this change. So you feel like a fraud, like you're trying to be someone you're not. It takes so much emotional energy to maintain the new behavior because the new behavior doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like who you are. It feels like a performance, like something you're putting on, not something that is a natural effect of who you know yourself to be. And so the shortcut is to do identity work, is to change at the identity level first. When you do identity work, you change at the level of who you are, who you're being. And when you change who you're being, the decisions about what you should do flow from that identity. They become automatic. So going back to some of our examples, right, with pricing, your old identity around money, around worth, might have been people don't value me. I'm not a person who can charge a lot of money. I can't charge 5K for my packages. That's too much. No one's going to pay that. If I charge 5K, I'm going to have to give 10K worth of service to justify that price. I'm starting to overpack it. I'm giving too much time. I'm giving too much work. I'm burning myself out trying to justify my pricing because I'm worried that people are going to say it's not worth it. I have a worthiness wound. I don't feel worth. But when you shift at the identity level, right? Maybe your upgraded identity is I'm a high value service provider. I'm a premium service provider. Then it's like, well, of course my package is 5K. Look at the transformation my work provides. My work is high value. My work is premium. That's who I am. That's what I do. The price is the price. If you think of yourself as a high value service provider, a premium service provider, it would never occur to you to lower your prices for someone who says they can't afford it. You're just like, well, that's okay. Go somewhere else. Somebody wants this at this price. I can't downgrade the price of the work because the work is high value and my work is premium, and that's just what it is. When it comes to delegation, if your old identity is rooted in control and like no one ever works as hard as me, no one lives up to my standards, no one's going to be able to do as good a job as me, or I just have to do everything on my own because it would take so much longer to explain to someone how to do it than it would be just to do it myself, or I really want someone to do this for me, but I don't want to invest as much as it would cost to get an expert. Nobody that I can afford is going to live up to my standards. That's not going to work. I can't afford to get the kind of help I need. But when you shift into the identity of CEO, I'm the CEO of the company. Why would I be in the mailroom? Why would I be answering the admin emails? Why would I be designing the website? It doesn't make sense for me as the CEO to be doing tasks that aren't moving the needle forward in the business. It doesn't make sense for me as the CEO to do tasks that don't add to our bottom line, tasks that aren't directly improving the whole company. That just is out of alignment. as the CEO of the company, I don't do the lowest value tasks in the company, because really when you do the math, my hourly rate, my value to the company is way over here. Why would I be doing a $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $15 an hour task? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's out of congruence with the identity. This is the work that I do with my clients. This is why I say that I'm a scaling strategist, but my edge, the reason you work with me and not someone who just gives you strategy, is that we're doing identity work so that you can implement the strategy, so that you can be the person who does the strategy so that you can get the results. Because without that piece, without that inner work piece, you're going to strategy hop, you're going to try things, they're not going to work right away, you're going to hit an obstacle, and you're going to just go right back to how you were doing things before. That is your old identity fighting for survival, right? Your subconscious safety patterns fighting to stay relevant and say, no, 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 we're not that person. That's dangerous. We don't do that. Come back over here. So we have to do that inner work change. I do archetypal work with my clients. I use my Powerhouse Archetype Framework to help them see the patterns that they can't see in their behavior and what those patterns say about who they're being. And then offering upgraded identity models so that they can close the gap between who they are being, who they have been, and who they need to be in order to reach their goals. One of my deepest beliefs is that there's no such thing as like, that's just how I am. There's how you've been and what you've done. And like everything else is up for negotiation. We can change really anything with the right tools, the right framework, the right dedication, the right support. So what do you need to do about it? How do you get started doing identity work if you're not going to work with me in Powerhouse Mastermind or one-on-one, which you're always invited to do? So I'm going to give you some simple tools that you can start with. So first is you have to see the patterns, because you can't change what you can't see. Most people are running their identity patterns subconsciously and unconsciously. They don't realize I'm being the person who needs everyone to like me, not the CEO who's willing and able to make hard decisions in order to reach our goals. I'm being the person who has to control everything, not the CEO who builds a stellar team and delegates effectively, right? I'm being the person who wants to make everybody happy and never be inaccessible, not the premium service provider. So you have to look at what are the patterns that show up. Maybe you saw yourself in some of the examples I gave today. Oh, every time I go to raise my prices, then I want to drop them the second a client shows up. Or every time I want someone to help me, I just redo their work. That's going to help you see, oh, okay, that's me. That's where I'm doing weird stuff. You have to get honest about who you're being right now in your business. What identity are you operating from? Am I being the people pleaser? Am I being the scared child? Who am I being? And then you have to decide who you need to be instead. Who do I need to be to reach my goals? If your goal is to scale to 500K or $1 million annual, what does the CEO who runs $1 million company actually look like? How do they think? How do they make decisions? How do they show up? Take out your journal, not right now if you're driving, but take out your journal and write it down. How does the 7-figure CEO version of me run their day, right? How does the version of me that has this goal, that's at this level, how do they run their day? Write everything down to the last detail. Especially, how do they think? How do they make decisions? How do they handle challenges? That's really the big one. How do they think? How do they make decisions? How do they handle challenges? And then you've made yourself a map. Here's who I'm being right now. Here's how I think. Here's how I decide. Here's how I handle challenges. Here's how this other version decides and thinks and handles challenges. So now you've just made yourself a map. of the inner work that you need to do. And now your work is to close that gap. And that is internal work. It's not strategy work. It's inner work. It will affect your ability to execute your strategy. It will affect your ability to hit your goal, but it is not strategy work. A new funnel won't get you there. You've got to close that gap. So what you do now that you've got the map is you do the things you can do right now. If the new version of yourself, the 7-figure CEO version of yourself, gets up at 6:30 every day so that they can go to the gym, stretch, journal, pull a card, and have private time before they start working, if that's what they do that now. You can do that right now. You can start there. If the 7-figure version of you doesn't do admin work or social media, you're going to go get a social media manager. Do everything you can do right now. And then legitimize yourself in that new identity. Take yourself seriously enough to invest in support for the things you can't change on your own. Working through the fear, the need for approval, the control patterns, the money issues, the nervous system regulation, whatever is driving that old identity, your subconscious safety patterns, the old identity that fights to protect itself. You need to do the inner work to become those things. Going back to the pyramid, right? Your purpose. If you're aligned with your purpose and who you are is the CEO of a successful company, then the behavior of I'm going to go get support so that I can capacity, capabilities, increase my skills is automatic. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? The old identity is the person who believes I'm not worth the support. I can't afford it. When you're aligned with your purpose and your identity, what do you mean you can't afford it? That's the only thing that matters. Your ability to execute is the only investment that's really important. And so doing whatever it takes to get yourself the skills, the support, the infrastructure that you need in order to operate at that higher level is the most important thing that you can invest in. It's the most important thing you can do. Being honest that in order to be this person, I have a capabilities gap that's going to prevent me from executing the behaviors. That's CEO level thinking, right? That is integral thinking. That is a high degree of personal integrity. I need to be the kind of person who can handle this kind of challenge. And right now I'm not. So let me go get those skills. Doesn't matter how much it costs. Doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm going to go get them because my core self, I am legitimizing my purpose. I'm legitimizing my identity. I'm legitimizing my goals. This is real to me. By investing in what it's going to take to be the person who can execute on the strategy and sustain and maintain your results, you have to legitimize your goals as valid. That's baseline. So you go get the help for the things that you're like, I cannot do that on my own. There's no shame in that, right? If you need EMDR, if you need therapy, if you need a coach, if you need someone to teach you ads, if you need someone to teach you a business skill, if you need to hire somebody, whatever it takes, there's no shame. And not only is there no shame in it, it shows a dedication to excellence. Your willingness to point out, I have a skill gap here, let me go fill it, shows that you really fuck with yourself and that you really believe in your ability to become the person who reaches your goals. And when you do that, you can start to step into that new identity. When you encounter a challenge, you go, wait a minute, I made a list. How does the 7-figure CEO version of me, how does the version of me who has this goal, how do they make decisions? How do they encounter challenges? Let me check. Okay, let me practice. Let me practice anchoring in and acting from that identity. Because when you are that person, the behaviors become automatic. So that's where I'm going to leave this for today. I hope that this was helpful. If you do this exercise and it's helpful for you, tell me all about it. I would love to hear. You can always email me, intuitiveedgecoaching@gmail.com. And if you are on Instagram, there is a new Instagram for this podcast, Inner Game of Entrepreneurship on Instagram. So go follow that Instagram and you can DM me there. You can leave comments there. You can let me know if this episode was helpful for you. And if you're curious about where you are leaking profit, energy, systems, revenue, focus in your business, where you are the bottleneck in your business growth, I have a CEO audit I created that shows you exactly that. It's $27. The link is in the show notes. It's a very cool thing. It is a smart sheet in Google. It's very simple. It's, I believe, 7 categories that have 5 questions each. You rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, and this thing is going to break down for you. Here's where you're leaking time, profit, focus, energy, systems. Here are the gaps. Here's exactly what you need to do. It gives you customized journal prompts based on where you're at, and it makes suggested next steps. That's available all the time. So I will link that in the show notes. That's a great thing to do at the top of the year because it will give you a roadmap of exactly what you need to focus on in order to close up those gaps and reach your goals in 2026. Thank you so much for being here with me. Cheers to another year. Love y'all so much. Okay, love you. Bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your day, so many things you could be listening to, and it means so much that you are here in this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment, share it on social media, and tag me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. Share it with a biz bestie who you think needs to hear it and will appreciate it. And take a moment to to subscribe, and to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It helps me grow this show, and it helps us grow and sustain this brilliant community of entrepreneurs dedicated to doing the inner work. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.